I confided in my wife about my painful childhood, and she used it against me, saying she lost respect for me. I don't even know how to write this because my head feels like it's splitting in two. I keep hearing her words over and over, unable to believe they came from her mouth. I'm reposting because there were some grammatical errors. We've been married for 14 years, building what I thought was a stable life together. 2 kids, our 12-year-old son and our daughter who just turned 11. They are my entire world. When I look at them, I feel a love I never knew existed because honestly, I never experienced that kind of love in my own childhood. My wife always knew this about me, though it took years before I could say it out loud. Early in our marriage, she noticed I never talked about my parents or my childhood. She'd share her stories, warm memories of holidays, her parents decorating the house, fights with her siblings that ended in laughter, while I just nodded and smiled. She said she wanted to understand me better, to truly know me. Over the years, she kept pushing until one day she begged me to open up. So, 7 years ago, I finally told her everything. I told her I was never supposed to be here, the 4th child after 3 brothers, a baby from a failed contraceptive, an accident. That's the word my parents used, and they reminded me constantly that I wasn't wanted. It wasn't subtle or hidden, they said it outright. I told her about the amusement park when I was 9, the day they tried to get rid of me. They left me behind on purpose. I knew it even at that age. They thought I'd panic, wander off, disappear. What they didn't expect was that I'd memorized the way home. Hours later, they acted like it was a mistake, like they'd lost me in the crowd, but I knew what it was. I knew what they tried. I told her about the night my father wrapped his hands around my neck and squeezed until the world darkened at the edges. I couldn't breathe, it felt like my head would explode. To this day, I don't know why he let go. Maybe my mother walked in, maybe something in him pulled back at the last second. Whatever it was, I survived, barely. I told her about the food, how some nights everyone else ate while I sat there watching. Not because we were poor, we had enough, but because they excluded me. If they bought something good, they shared it among themselves, never with me. I remember sitting at that table as a kid, stomach empty, watching them laugh while I pretended not to exist. I told her how they never missed a chance to remind me I was an accident. My parents said it, my brothers echoed it, it became the constant joke that I shouldn't exist, the mistake they couldn't erase. I told her how they once admitted they'd planned to abort me but didn't go through with it, saying it casually like it was trivial, not a knife in my chest. I told her about the winter night when my father locked me outside as punishment for something I didn't even do. I was about 10 and it was freezing. I stood there trembling, crying, teeth chattering, honestly thinking I wouldn't survive the night. A neighbor eventually saw me and banged on the door until my mother opened it. That neighbor probably saved me. These were the things I shared with my wife. It wasn't easy. I was shaking as I spoke, feeling exposed, like I was reopening scars I'd hidden for years. She hugged me afterward, said she was glad I trusted her, and promised she'd never use those things against me. Last night she broke that promise. We argued over something trivial, our son's homework. She said I was too soft on him, letting things slide. I said she was too harsh. It escalated, both of us defensive, one of those fights where you forget the point and just try to win. Then she said it. She looked me straight in the eye and said maybe my father should have finished what he started that night, that I didn't even deserve a family, let alone kids, that maybe it would have been better if I hadn't survived, that I'd told her myself I was never wanted. I froze. For a second I thought I misheard, but she repeated it calmly like she was stating a fact. I can't describe what it did to me. I've heard cruel things before, insults, ridicule, belittlement, and I know how to let words roll off. But this was different. She was the one person I let into the deepest parts of me, and she turned my pain into a weapon. I stood there in silence, unable to yell back. Something broke inside me. The rest of the night I barely spoke. She acted normal, like nothing happened. I went to the guest room and stayed awake all night, her words looping in my head, blending with my parents' cruel jokes and reminders that I wasn't wanted, her voice layered on top. I thought about the rage I carried as a teenager, how I used to wish my mother would die painfully. I thought those feelings were buried deep, but last night she dug them up and threw them back at me. I can't get past it. This morning she was cheerful like nothing happened. I could barely look at her, thinking something inside me was shattered, unsure if it could ever be fixed. I waited until Tuesday. She spent the weekend and Monday acting like nothing happened, a bit colder than usual, answering curtly, irritated like I was the one who caused this. No apology, not even a hint. I felt like I was carrying something heavy while she just moved around it. By Tuesday afternoon I couldn't take it anymore. I asked her to sit with me. The house was quiet. I said we needed to talk about what she said during the fight, that we couldn't just brush it off. I reminded her the argument started because I refused to hit our son while teaching him, that I don't believe in hitting kids to make them learn, and she'd insisted on it. That's where the fight began, and somehow it turned uglier. I asked why she used what I'd confided against me, reminded her she'd begged me to open up years ago and promised to keep it safe. I asked why she hugged me back then if this was where we'd end up. At first she was stiff, saying she didn't know what else she was supposed to do back then, that she tried to act normal to be supportive, because she didn't know how to handle what I'd shared. She said she hadn't realized how heavy it was until later. Her voice was flat, like she was just stating facts. I told her the promise mattered, that this wasn't a slip in anger, it was her taking the things I'd entrusted to her and weaponizing them. I asked again why. That's when she admitted it. She said she'd lost some respect for me after I opened up. I asked what that meant. She said it wasn't one specific detail but the whole picture. She'd always seen me as solid, someone who could carry the weight without bending, the person she leaned on. But after I shared everything, she couldn't stop seeing cracks beneath the surface. Parts of my story, the way those years still lived in me, made her feel uneasy in a way she couldn't shake. Seeing me cry, so nervous and broken, made her see me differently. She actually used the word disgust. She said sometimes when she remembered those things, it interfered with how she saw me. I asked if that meant she thought less of me for surviving. She said it wasn't about surviving, but about how it changed what she expected of me. She admitted she'd built an image of me that didn't include those wounds, and once she knew, she couldn't put that image back together. I asked why she hugged me, saying she wanted to know all of me. She said she didn't know what else to do then, that she didn't want to punish me for telling the truth, that hugging me and saying it was okay felt like the only decent response, even though inside she'd already started seeing me differently. I let that hang in the air, then asked the hardest question. Why in that moment she reached for what would hurt me most. She said she couldn't control herself and went for what she knew would cut deepest. She said she was sorry, that it would never happen again. I thought about how this might sound from the outside, like maybe I dumped too much on her back then. But I never sat her down and unloaded everything at once. I gave her my story the way she asked for it, piece by piece, only when she pressed. If she wanted to know something, I answered, no extra details, no random oversharing. Even then, she probably only heard a fraction of what I carry. I'd already been to therapy, done the work. I wasn't unloading on her because I couldn't handle it alone. The only reason she heard those parts of me was because she demanded them, insisted she wanted the full picture to truly know me. I believed her. I trusted her enough to share things I never planned to say out loud. That's why this betrayal hurt so much more. It wasn't me spilling uncontrollably, it was me handing her pieces of myself because she asked, because she swore she'd keep them safe. Then she took those pieces and cut me with them. It feels like giving someone your heartbeat because they said they wanted to hold it close, only to watch them stab it. After she said all that, I sat there for a long time. It was like I finally had the truth behind everything, but it didn't settle cleanly. I wasn't in shock anymore, just resigned. I told her I didn't think we could go back to how things were, that the foundation felt cracked in a way I couldn't ignore. I said maybe the only way forward was to part ways amicably, calmly, before things got worse. I said I didn't think I could see her the same way, not after knowing she could turn something so personal into a weapon. That's when her tone changed. The firmness she'd explained herself with crumbled, and she sounded almost scared. She begged me not to say that she didn't want a divorce. She said she still loved me, that what she'd done in a moment of anger wasn't bigger than the life we'd built. She couldn't imagine splitting the kids between us, them growing up in 2 homes. She said leaving would mark them more than anything we'd been through. I told her love isn't supposed to be tearing each other apart with the sharpest words we can find. She said she knew, promising again it wouldn't happen again, that she meant it when she said she'd never go there again. She kept circling back to the kids, how they needed us together, that whatever our issues, we had to fix them without breaking the family. She didn't cry, but there was a desperation in her voice, like she was afraid I was already out the door and trying to drag me back however she could. She didn't apologize again directly, but kept stressing it would never happen again, that I shouldn't throw everything away over one mistake. Right now, I haven't made a final decision. My mind keeps going back and forth. Part of me feels the damage is too deep, that I'd be lying to myself if I pretended I could ever see her the same way. But another part hesitates because leaving isn't simple with kids and years of life intertwined. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't leaning more toward one direction, ending it, than the other, but I'm not there yet. I feel heavy most days, stuck between wanting to protect myself and not wanting to split my family in 2. Sometimes I think I know what I need to do, then I question it again. It's exhausting, but writing this and hearing different perspectives has made me feel less alone. Thanks to everyone who's taken the time to read, comment, or even send a direct message. It means more than I can put into words. I couldn't reply to everyone, but I've read every comment, maybe twice. Thank you, strangers. I need to say it clearly, I need validation. I need someone to tell me I'm not crazy for feeling so broken. I need comfort because I feel like I'm spiraling, replaying her words in my head. I thought my past was behind me, buried, that I'd moved on. Last night she proved me wrong. It's alive, and the person I trusted most can use it against me. I don't know how I could ever forgive that.